Thank you. You may be seated. Well, good morning. Molweni. Where do we start?
Morning, Justice. We have a witness that we intend to call now. The state had indicated that they then want to interpose, and we have no objection if they do that, and thereafter we will call further witnesses. The witness that we're calling now is Moelo Mofokeng, and she will testify in English, and she will take the oath.
Yes. Interpose means what? Interpose with the witness?
And after this witness is finished, the state will call another witness.
Counsel?
It is indeed so, Justice. We have made a request that we lead one of the witnesses relating to the state of mortuaries, of the mortuary at Cullinan.
Very good.
Cullinan.
Thank you. That's fine. Do we have a medical certificate relating to Dr. Manamela?
Yes, Justice Musanek, we received a document signed by, a certificate signed by a Dr. Stein. It was only forwarded this morning at around 7 via email. That is the only copy we have. We have no explanation at all, but we're advised that a legible copy of that will be provided tomorrow. But I can read, to me it's legible, I think, as it appears from the attached copy
Do your
on the
colleagues have a copy of the
medical
medical certificate?
I have forwarded the same email to all our colleagues, Justice, and I requested Obageng to make a copy for yourself. I'm sure it will be provided in due course, or it has been.
That's the one, isn't it?
That's the copy, Justice Msanek.
Yes, I think it's just in good order that we read what's on the certificate, but also for people who are here to know what developments followed on the proceedings yesterday.
Correct, Justice Msanek. On the face of it, it appears that she consulted on the 21st of November 2017, and that is yesterday. It reads, this is to certify that Dr. M. Manamela is unfit for duty from 21 November to 22
no, put the full dates, please.
21 November 2017 to 22 November 2017 due to severe stress, and the last entry will be may resume duty on 23 November 2017, and it is signed by the responsible doctor, who is Dr. J. Stein. The date of the certificate is 21 November 2017. That is on top of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Msanek.
Do you understand the certificate to say Dr. Manamela is unfit for duty?
That is what it reads. It says it's unfit for duty from 21 November 2017 to 22 November 2017. And she may resume a duty on the 23rd of November 2017. That's what it says on the face of it, Justice Msanek. Nothing more is disclosed that is on the document.
We'll hear tomorrow, whether to infer that giving evidence should be equated with duty.
That is correct, Justice Msanek. It says nothing whether the unfit for duty makes reference or includes to her inability to sit here and testify or lead evidence. It's just a general, it's not specific. I think it's all encompassing as it appears.
And this is due to severe stress.
Correct, Justice Msanek.
Very well. Would any of the council want to say anything before we proceed to close this little chapter? Advocate Hassan?
Thank you, Justice Masaneke. I'd just like to point out for the record that the medical certificate was only provided last night. Sorry, the email I see says 9:45 p.m. I beg your pardon. An email was sent last night without the medical certificate. The undertaking from Dr. Manamela's legal representatives was that it would be sent by close of business yesterday. As of 9:45 p.m. last night, there was an email to Advocate Nguchana simply saying the following: Dr. Manamela went to see the doctor this morning as she was not well. To the extent required and within legal bounds, she will share proof thereof with the arbitrator at her next appearance. It was only upon the persuasion then of my colleague, Advocate Nguchana, that they then produced the medical certificate. It seemed that the intention was to bring the medical certificate at Dr. Manamela's next appearance, and there was no indication as to when that would be. The medical certificate then was sent to Advocate Nguchana this morning at 7:17 a.m. And there was no courtesy from the legal representatives for Dr. Manamela to send it to any of the other parties to these proceedings. I'm saying that just for the record so that everybody understands exactly how we got the certificate and the process of obtaining the certificate. My understanding from the certificate is that she will resume her testimony tomorrow, and that combined with the undertaking by the legal representative that she would be able to resume the testimony tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. That is our understanding.
Very well, thank you. Advocate Krausen.
Thank you, Justice. We have nothing to add to that.
Advocate Winnebold.
Justice, I think we've made our arguments yesterday, and we have nothing further to add today. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you want to say, Counsel?
No, nothing, Justice. It's correct that I did send that email advising them that an undertaking was made by their counsel that the certificate would be provided before the end of the business day yesterday. That communication is correct, as my learned colleague refers to. Justice Msanek.
Advocate Utama.
Thank you, Justice. We have no input.
Very well. Okay, then we're going to resume evidence. I think it was important just for the interested parties to know where are we with this little saga. Counsel, let's proceed.
Thank you, Justice. The witness's statement is LR 67, and she will speak English, and she will take the oath.
Would you want to put your full names on records, please?
Yes, Justice. My name is Moelo Mamukojo Rebecca Mufokeng.
Muelo Mamkojo.
Mamukojo, yes.
Rebecca Mufokeng.
Yes, Justice.
Do you swear that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? And if so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you, Justice.
And that will be LR 67.
67.
Thank you.
Yes.
I see that. Thank you.
Ms. Mufokeng, where do you reside?
I now reside in Belterfield Park. That's Roodepoort side.
Your younger sister is the mental health care user, is that correct?
That's correct, just correct.
What is her full name?
Her full name,
Yes.
it's Maggie Maspiriti Mufokeng.
And you call her Maggie?
We call her Maggie, yes.
Yes. How old is she now?
She turned 36 in June this year.
What is wrong with her? Why is she a mental health care user?
Maggie fell. She was born a normal child. She had an accident. She was hit by a dog at home when she was about 3 years old. So she went and fell on a stone. That's how she got mentally ill.
And you were there when it happened?
I was with her actually when it happened because we were actually having a race watering my mother's plants outside. So she was in front of me and yes.
Yes.
She was what by a dog? Chased by a dog?
We had a dog just in a yard, our dog. So somebody was passing outside the streets with a group of dogs. So our dog got a little bit angry and aggressive and then it wanted to go out. So it came with a speed. So that's when we were running to the tap as well and we crossed roads. So unfortunately she was in front and the dog hit her and then she went and fell down.
Oh, sure. So she was knocked over by a dog
Yes,
and then fell on her
with
head.
her head, yes.
Thank you.
And as a result, she sustained injuries and she needed medical attention?
Yes, she did, Justice. She was taken to Sebokeng Hospital and she was seen by the doctors there. But they said to my mom, she's young and it isn't a major injury, it was just a cut. So they cleaned the wound, give her stitches, and then she was sent home. And my mother discovered, actually our GP, our personal doctor discovered when my mother took her, I think it was just for flu, just a normal any illness. And then Dr. Pleat was like, there's something wrong with her. Then she must be referred to a specialist. That's when my parents got to the specialist, then they discovered that she is brain damaged.
And as a result thereof, did she ever go to school?
She was never sent to, because she was still young, for her to go to creche, she never went to creche. She instead went to training with 2 psychologists in Sebokeng Hospital, like about 4 days in a week. So my mother would take her every day so that they can train her to touch, speech, and all that, up until she was 6 years old. And then when she was 6, they said they're going to send her to a normal school so that they can see if she has recovered or...
Let us just...
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt you too much, but let us just get the details. She went to normal school and that didn't work. Is that so?
No. She only went to normal school when she was now 6 years.
Yes.
Yes.
And she didn't pass.
It never worked.
And where did she go then?
She went to a normal school for 2 years. After two years, it didn't work. Then she was sent to Thabo Vuyo. It's in Sebokeng.
And up till when did she stay there? Which age?
She was in Thabo Vuyo. I can't remember up until what year exactly. But now my parents had to take her out of Thabo Vuyo because Thabo Vuyo was a sort of a daily special school, if I may put it that way. And after school, she would just put everything there and go.
You felt that she was vulnerable for not staying at home?
Yes.
Could she talk?
Yes, she can talk.
And she can walk?
She can walk properly.
Where did she go then?
After Thabo Vuyo?
Yes.
Then after Thabo Vuyo, she was sent, I think it was in 2002. In 2002, yes. She was then sent to Takalani.
Now, we know that this now falls outside the timeline, but it's important for you to speak about Takalani. Why is that?
Because now after Thabo Vuyo, for some time she was at home. I must say, Justice,
No,
that...
just listen to my question. Why do you want to speak about Takalani today?
Oh,
Although it's not inside the timeline.
okay. I think some of I'll say maybe some government officials who came here on the stand, they did say that Takalani was one of their NGOs that they have been using and that was recommended and of a good state, if I may say that.
And your finding, were they offering a good service to your sister?
I'll disagree with that because my sister went to Takalani 2002 and then she was raped. She got raped in Takalani by one of the patients.
And when did you find out about the rape?
They phoned me, I think, they phoned me, it was maybe 3 days or so after that, after the happening. Then I phoned my mother was called in to go there.
Yes, and what was found?
What was found like there?
Yes.
Okay, when my mother got there, they said she has been locked, like she has been in a ward, like she never wanted to wake up for some time. I think she was seen by a cleaner. And then it was a day 1, day 2, day 3, as they explained. We don't know how many days exactly because we were not there, but they said about 3 days, she has been sleeping, not waking up. And then that's when they saw, and there was a smell in a room where she was sleeping. And that's when they realized that she was sick. And then, well, that's when they phoned us, only after so many days. So when my mother got there, they took her to Baragwanath Hospital. And she was septic, like her private part was.
Yes. She was also then tested for HIV, is that correct?
She had 2 years. They wanted my mother to consent.
And she was not HIV?
She wasn't, yes. Lucky.
How old was she then?
That was 2003, Justice. I can't remember well how old she was in 2003.
Well, we can work back, isn't
We
it?
can, yes.
You said to us she is now
20.
She was born in 81.
1981 and 2003. She was 22.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Justice.
Okay. Did she stay at Takalani after that?
Yes,
After she came back from the hospital?
yes, Justice. She was treated and then she was took back to Takalani.
Okay. Now, is your sister still HIV free?
She is now HIV positive.
And she needs medicine?
Yes, she's taking medicine.
Okay, so, and you don't know how that happened?
We don't know, Justice, how that happened.
She was at some stage.
But was she institutionalized throughout?
Through-
Up to 2015, 2016?
Yes, Justice. Okay, I must say about Takalani, I'm sorry, Justice. She went back to Takalani, and there was an incident whereby she got aggressive, and she beat up every person there in, like nurses and everybody she fought. They again, because I was the contact person, they phoned me to say, we must come fetch my sister. She's not going to sleep there another night. That's what they know. How they want her out of the institution immediately. And that was in the afternoon. And my mother is in Vereeniging in Sharpeville. So we had to make means and ways that we go fetch her because they told us that they are not going to keep her inside the institution no matter what.
And could you handle her?
We had to, Justice. We had to handle it. We were panicking, but we had to make means and ways and go fetch her.
Was she aggressive at home as well?
She would turn aggressive at home at certain times. Like if she disagrees with what you tell her, she would get aggressive. Sometimes she wouldn't want to take medication. She would turn aggressive.
Okay. We're going to walk off from this now and go to May 2010 when she was admitted to Waverley.
Yes.
How did she do at Waverley?
You know, I must say, since my sister has been to so many institutions in and out, Waverley was the only institution which kept her and which could really handle her so well.
Did her aggression subside?
It did, it did.
Now we know that there was the possibility of a move. When did you find out about this move away from Waverley?
In 2015, Ellie, her birthday is in June, so we were there with my sister. It was in June when we were there, June 2015 with my sister. So when we were there was one of the nurses who told us that she is not 100% sure, but she had rumors that Waverley will be closing. And that's when we panicked with my sister, because I remember I said to her, should we maybe start finding her another place, because we cannot afford her to go back home. And then she was like, no, don't do that. I don't know yet, but that's what we had.
Eventually she was moved.
Eventually she was moved.
Just
Okay.
before you give more details of the move, you talked about her being brain damaged.
Yes.
Do you know any more details about her condition?
Not really, Justice. That's the only thing I know, that she got she kind of like had a clot, and they said to my dad they can operate her, but it's a 2 to 2 chances situation. She might not make it after that
But
operation. And
subsequently, when she became aggressive and so on, did they tell you any more? What?
causes that.
Yeah. How had the brain damage evolved? Was it a specific tag put on the condition?
No, not that I know of, Justice. Not that I know of.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Justice. She was moved at some stage.
Yes, Justice.
To which NGO was she moved?
She was moved to Anani in Vereeniging.
Okay. And do you know when she was moved?
She was moved in May, 16th of May, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 16th of May,
11th.
2016.
11 May 2016, according to
11
your affidavit.
Yes, Justice, I'm sorry.
Okay, did you know about that move?
We were told yes. If I may just refer back a little bit, in 2015 now, on the 5th of December, open day, my mother was there and I didn't go, but that's when now we were, like families were addressed that there is going to be there's going to be a closure of Waverley and patients are going to be moved. But now we didn't know where, how. So in January, we had meetings like Mr. Peterson was testifying yesterday. Then there was follow-up meetings because we were concerned now as families that.
Yes. That evidence is before this arbitration. I'm just trying to establish, did you know beforehand that she was going to go to Anani, or how did you find out?
Then, yes, they phoned my mother, the institution phoned my mother to say Maggie will be moved in one of the NGOs in Vereeniging, Anani. But then, as the move happened, we didn't know. One of our family members posted, because we were in communication, then he posted to say there are patients being moved in Waverley. There are buses there of patients being moved. And then that's when I phoned. I remember I was at work and then I phoned.
I'm going to just try to curtail your detail a little bit. I understand that it's a traumatic thing and you want to tell the whole story, but let's try to get the story out this way. When she was moved, did you know she was being moved on that day?
We didn't.
When did you find out about that?
We found out a few days after she was moved.
And did you go to Anani?
We went to Anani.
Can you more or less tell the court how long after the move did you go to Anani?
When we got there, I think it was a Monday, because I remember I think they moved her on Friday, and then we went there on a Monday.
Okay.
She only had, so that lady there, Debbie, she was the owner of the NGO. So, I'm sorry.
And how did you know to go to Anani?
She gave us the address because what happened is we phoned the sister in. My mother had a contact number with the sister, one of the sisters in Waverley.
Okay.
So she's the one who actually gave us an information of whereabouts of my sister.
Okay, and then you went to Anani.
And then we went to Anani.
I want you to tell us, what did you find at Anani?
Look, we went around because it's an existing house. We couldn't really, we were expecting, you know, to find, you would, if you didn't know, you would expect to find a board or see something that says NGO, whatever, but it was just an existing house. My older sister, though, went during, when we were doing...
What did you find?
Okay. It's a house. It was a normal house with a normal existing, like, I'll say half of a, not a palisade, what do you call this? Asbestos, gate, or what do you call it, mature, like
A fence.
A fence,
Yes.
sort of, yes. And
Single
they had-
story.
yes, single story.
Yes.
They had a kitchen. When you come in, there was a smaller office just before you go inside the house. There was an office, and then there was an open area where they had this steel tables. That's where they would sit and eat.
Okay. Did you see Maggie there?
We saw Maggie there, yes.
And how did Maggie look?
Look, she wasn't happy because she really loved being at Waverley. She wasn't happy. And so, yeah, we didn't have much to do. And then the other thing is her clothing, because we questioned where is her clothing. She didn't have any clothing with her. She had a refuse black bag with clothes. But clothes which were there were not even her clothes.
And how would you describe the contents of that black bag of clothes?
That refuse bag, it was different things like tops, anything, a dress. It was different clothes, but which were not hers. And because every patient, what you call, at Waverley, I don't know about other institutions, they would want us to label their clothes so that they wouldn't swap their clothes. And from Waverley, they had cupboards, so we don't even know how did that happen, because they had, each and every one of them had their own cupboards. But now those clothes were not even hers, so my mother had to ban them.
Was it clean clothes?
They were not clean clothes.
Why do you say that?
Because they were dirty. It was dirty clothes. It was dirty clothes altogether. There were no shoes.
How was it smelling?
Bad. Like they look, it's clothes that you wouldn't even take yourself and wear them. So the lady told us that's how she came when they brought them there.
So the clothing in the black bag was taken and it was burned?
Yeah, no, we couldn't do any. We couldn't even want to wash something that we don't know who it belonged to, so we banned them.
Okay. How long did Maggie stay at Anani?
She was there 2016 up until 2017. In April, I think she moved.
So it was nearly a year that she was there.
Correct, yes.
And how did her weight remain the same, or did she become fatter, or did she become leaner?
She was thin, She was thin. Her legs were so thin. She was dark again in complexion. Naturally she's more darker than me, but she was like dark, very dark skinned. And she was thin as well.
Did she become thinner at Anani? Did she lose weight?
Yes, she lost weight when she got to Anani.
Okay. And did she have medicine at Anani?
She was, luckily, Maggie, the other thing is she was never brought even with her file, but luckily because she's a patient at Kopanong, and Kopanong was the one who referred her to Waverley initially. So, and that's where my mother would go and collect her treatment form. So Debbie was able to take her to Kopanong Hospital, and Kopanong was able to give her treatment as according to the file they had for her at Kopanong.
But when you first came there were no medicine and there was no file.
No, there was no file. There was no file at all.
And the medicine?
There was no medicine. They have given them medicine for a few days, I guess. But I never saw that medicine. My mother told me that.
And the HIV medicine, was that given to her initially?
No, no.
And you spoke about the file. Did you see any sort of file at Anani?
Not at all. There were no files. Even the owner, Debbie, the owner there of Anani, did say that she was never given any files.
The owner's name is Debbie?
Debbie, yes.
And she told you that there were no files?
Yes, because we went with my sister and now we wanted to know everything and yeah, there was no files.
Your sister was eventually moved from Anani to Baneng after the Ombuds report, and thereafter she was moved back to Waverley. Is that correct?
Correct, Justice.
And can you tell us how she's doing at the moment?
She's quite happy. I don't know, Justice, if you may allow me to say something else about when she was at Anani. That lady there, we asked her if she's getting any grant from my sister, if she has received any payment from my sister. And she says she hasn't received anything from the government. And she told us that she comes to Joburg. There are some hotels whereby she comes and collects food for them because she cannot afford to feed them. And we even asked her about why doesn't she have a proper signage outside and all that. She didn't have security. That's the other thing. She didn't have any nurses as well in place. It was caregivers that she was working with. And then she says, instead of putting up a board, I might rather use that money for doing other things or maybe getting them food or other things. So, yeah.
The Ombudsman says in his report that Anani was one of the NGOs where patients were moved to without being ready. Was
Yes.
that the impression you got there?
Yes, because this lady was given about 20 patients from Waverley, and it's like these were her first patients. Like she just opened an NGO. So much was not really ready. Because I remember the other thing was, the other concern for us was the security and the fencing around. Because my sister has got a history of running away. We were concerned that what if she walks out of the yard, it's going to be so easy for her to jump out and go.
Yes, that was also one of the issues that the Ombuds raised, that there was not sufficient security at Anani.
Yes,
so
Justice.
you saw that.
Yes, Justice.
Now, according to the Ombuds report, it seems on my reading that no patients died at Anani.
Yes,
Are,
Justice.
are you aware of any patients that died at Anani?
Not at all. There weren't any patients died there.
Okay. I'm just going back a little bit to Anani. Did you see the beds where the patients slept?
Yes, we did. They had double beds.
Double bunks?
Yes, double bunks beds. And then others were just flat, like single beds in rooms.
And was there sufficient space?
There was sufficient space, if I may say that. There were cupboards as well. She built in cupboards for them in those rooms as well. And it was only females.
Sufficient bathrooms?
Bathrooms, I wouldn't really say. I can't remember. We never went to an extent of checking out everything in the house.
And bedding? Did you see the bedding?
Yes, we did. Bedding was, even the beds were well off, done.
Could you just repeat that, sorry?
The beds were well done. Like,
Okay, you were
yes.
satisfied with the bedding?
We were satisfied with the bedding.
So except for the food and the medicine situation
And security.
and the security, those were the issues.
Those were our issues.
And
Who else was at Anani? I'm talking about mental health care users.
Justice, we don't know the patients at all. But we saw the patients because even when we go visit my sister, we will see other patients, but we don't know them from Waverley.
You said there were 20 of them.
There were about 20 of them, yes.
Were they males and females?
It was only females.
The rape of your sister bothers me. Anybody was arrested
Unfortunately,
while she was at Takalani?
unfortunately not. What they told me told us at Takalani was that guy, he's been in Takalani for so many years and he's a very calm and humble guy. So they
Which
don't.
guy? Which guy?
The guy who raped her.
He was known.
He was known. He was one of the patients. So they told us, to them it couldn't have been that guy. It's our sister who led everything.
So the man who was fingered by your sister, did she finger anybody? Did your sister point at anybody?
No, she never pointed anybody then, Justice, because by the time we went to see her, she was very ill. So we didn't even have time to see who is this guy and all that. But they never really said anything. That's what they told us.
She seems to have been institutionalized throughout. Was it so?
Yes, Justice.
Do you know how she might have become HIV positive?
Justice, there was a time where she was discharged from Waverley, and she was moved back home in March 2012. And what they told us was she is coping, so she is ready to can go home. That's what they told us. We fought that because we told them that this is a different story. Yes, she may seem okay, because that's the thing about my sister.
And how long was she home?
She went back again in 2013, so it was a period of a year or so, because she was discharged in March 2010.
So for about a year, she was
2012.
home, staying with you,
Staying with my mother.
with your mother.
Yes, Justice.
And do you think she might have been infected then?
Well, I think so, Justice, because our concern actually about my sister is when she's home, she doesn't stay home. She wakes up when she opens her eyes, she's right at the streets, and she will come back as in somebody who has been to work. And we will never know where she went.
Okay.
And yeah, but what we realized was people were taking an advantage of her.
Okay. Counsel?
Thank you, Justice. Can I just ask you, as a family, have you spent money on finding her or buying new clothes for her?
Yes, we did. My sister, we used to buy her clothes since she was in Waverley. We didn't have a thing of they give them clothes, you know. If it's winter, we would take some warm clothes, buy her some warm clothes, morning slippers and stuff like that. And when she come back home as well, because there will be times where we go and fetch her, if it's holidays and stuff like that, we would want her to look best as well, so we buy her clothes. So when she went again, was when she was released to Banning by the...
Okay, let me just cut that short.
Okay.
You have bought her clothes.
We bought her clothes.
And we know that her clothes went missing. How much did you spend on clothes?
Look, Justice, I cannot really say how much we've spent, maybe in between Waverley and Banning, because when she got Banning to Banning as well, she didn't have clothes.
More or less?
Maybe less or so, about 3,000 rands that we spent on her clothes.
And finding her? Petrol, telephone?
And finding her, because again, when she was moved to Banning, that lady didn't know where she was moved from Anani. So I had to phone again the department and find out where is my sister. So because already there was a move of taking patients out of NGOs, they had a database of all patients who have been in different NGOs, and they told me my sister is in Baneng. So I had to go. I've never been to Baneng. I had to travel to Baneng, look for it, and...
The question is, did you spend any money?
I did.
Can you tell us how much?
Unfortunately, I can't justice. I just put petrol and go there.
Okay.
Yes.
And what effect did this move to these three places now had on you as a family, her being missing, her losing weight, all of that? What effect did this have on you as a family?
Wow, it drained us because day in and out, like, we were worried, what's going to happen? Is she ever going to be, like, in a stable home or play, like, institution, if we may say that? And we were worried that, okay, if now nothing is happening and she has to come back home, how are we going to handle it? Because our concern again is my mother stayed with my sister's daughter, and my mother is very scared of my sister. And I think my sister knows that. So it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice, honestly. I don't even know how to describe it. But we didn't sleep, like, day in and out, like I say. We would think about it and think about, in advance, think about, okay, let's say, if in case they say she has to now come back home, what do we do? We used to talk to other...
Where is she now? She's still at Waverley?
She's now at Waverley, but yeah, she loves it there. She was so happy that she's going to Waverley, because the day when I went to fetch her again at Baneng, she said to me, the sister told me that we're moving to Waverley. I'm so happy I'm going back to Waverley.
Did it have... The whole situation, did it have any effect medically on your mother?
It did. My mother's she's a person with a high blood, so, and my mother lost weight as well, because she was worried. She was worried of my sister coming back home. She was worried. And I think, actually, when my sister now was moved, already there were patients who were dead already. So it was a concern.
Thank you.
I don't understand that. We're dead where?
Like from Esidimeni. Patients who were in other NGOs. Already there were patients who were already dead.
How would she have known that? You mean she would have received reports of death?
No, because me and my sister, we've been in what you call family representatives. So we knew of everything and movements that were happening. So we would tell her everything that was happening. So, yeah.
Let me get it properly. You say when patients, mental health care users started dying, you were worried, but you also told Prosperity that people are dying.
No, we didn't tell her. We couldn't, yes. No, Justice, we didn't tell her.
Are you talking about the impact on yourselves?
Yes, Justice.
Okay.
And your mother knew about the death?
She knew everything about it.
And that impacted on your mother?
Yes, it did.
Now, you've sat through many of these hearings.
Yes, Justice.
I'm going to ask you to give an indication as to what redress you think will help you as a family.
Justice, the first thing, if people could just come and tell the truth of the matter as is and stop really pointing fingers, because I must say since day one, I never heard of anybody who's taking responsibility. Everybody sitting here is pointing on another person. It looks like it would even get to the president in a way they are saying, because it's taking levels up. So it's not really helping us, you know. Being here, it helps. It's painful. It has got mixed feelings for all of us, I may say. But what will help really is for people to take responsibility and account of their actions. Justice, some of the officials who have been here, the likes of Dr. Manamela, Mr. Misonogi, we have been, these are the people that we sat with as family representatives. And these are the people who promised us, because we were concerned as families that where is our patients going? Are you definite that they will be catered for as where they are now? And they promised us. Mrs. Masondo is one of those people who were saying to us, we are going out with my teams and we are checking out these NGOs, and we assure you guys that everything will be sorted, your patients will be cared for in a way, even us, we would want them to be cared.
That was before the move, right?
That was before the move, Justice.
And did that happen?
Did
the promises,
absolutely
were the
not.
promises true?
Absolutely not. It was opposite of what we sat around the table with them and discussed. It was opposite of that. They went and they told us positive things. We were of positive mind, and we sat around the table and discussed positively, and the picture they gave us was okay, promising. But now, as a matter of fact, Justice, we had maybe a meeting whereby they projected all the NGOs. It was a lot of NGOs, and they said they are checking all the NGOs just to find out which ones will be suitable. The second meeting that we had, the last maybe second meeting that we had with them was, okay, here's a short list of NGOs, but some of them, Dr. Manamela herself says to us, some of these NGOs, they are still busy renovating. I have given them 2 weeks to finish their renovations. If they are not done in 2 weeks, then I'm going to take whatever NGO which is not ready on our list. And we said, how sure are you with the renovations? She says, no, they promise that they will be done. But we will only use NGOs which are ready, which are suitable, which has got licenses, which has got nurses, everything promised, as the report says, as it was said by other professionals like Dr. Talatala, of what are requirements for one to run an NGO for mentally ill patients. But none of that happened. I think about 2 days after that meeting, or a few days if I'm not mistaken, Justice, this was in 2017, I'm sure early May, that was our last meeting that we had as family representatives and the government officials. Then there's a move. They didn't even tell us. We were waiting them to send us now a complete list of NGOs that are ready so that we can actually, as families, we were prepared to do everything, to go check them ourselves.
So your negotiations, do you think helped?
Our negotiations, unfortunately, didn't help. Because look at the situation that we find ourselves in. They never listened to us. We feel as family that we sat there and we were brushed with a paint on our faces, and nothing really happened as we wished as families, because we really care about our loved ones.
You were a family rep. Did Dr. Manamela know about the protest marches that you had?
She knew. She knew.
And the memoranda that you prepared?
Definitely knew, yes. The last memorandum actually was signed by Mr. Mosonogi.
And did they know that you are organized and you are representing families of mental health care users who were deeply concerned?
Absolutely, Justice. Absolutely.
And what came out of all that?
All negativity, all that's bad and ugly came out of that. Everything. We tried. Justice, we've been to Sawa Street. There's a government building. I forgot that government building, 7th floor. We used to sit there with them. This whole team, your Franz Tobani, Dr. Manamela, and other representatives which were there. We used to sit in those meetings just to see that the movement will be would be a better movement, and our patients will receive the good care that we are expecting and that we want them to have.
Why do you think they ignored you?
To my thinking, these people were running a business. These people were like after their own benefits. Everybody was looking at where they are seated, their positions. That's how now we see it. It was everything about them.
Tell me about the business you think they were running.
I'm thinking, because Justice, they said to us, this is it's a cost saving because department is getting a strain. What they told us was they are paying about 10,000 for a patient at Life Esidimeni.
Per what?
Per month, if I'm not mistaken, Justice.
Right.
And they were like, that is a lot. Government cannot really handle that anymore. But I was surprised, like sitting in this hearing, to hear people getting like 150,000 in a month and so on. And I'm thinking, and they're getting grants as well on top of that. So I was thinking, what is it that they were trying to save?
Who do you think benefited in this marathon project? I'm talking financially for a moment.
Justice is NGOs. I believe some of the NGOs, they actually even took extra patients because they were promised money. That this is how much you would get if you have so many patients. And that's why some of them couldn't even say no, Justice. They took so many patients because it was, oh, it's a plus in my account if I have so many patients.
And do you think they were properly checked to make sure that they can deliver on the money they were going to receive?
I do not think so, Justice. I do not think so. I believe actually even some of the NGOs, because if I remember well, when we went to view the NGOs, that's the other thing that I felt that department is getting away with something. They are trying to maybe make us not to be present to go view these NGOs. At night, you will receive an email saying, oh, tomorrow, families, we decided that we're going to view maybe Kalinen, you know, and we would like, okay, if Franz Tobani is the guy who used to send us these emails, he was a deputy, what was Franz Tobani? Deputy director to Dr. Manamela. He's the one who used to send us emails and information to say, tomorrow we're viewing this. That that would happen like just at night you receive an email to say, we're going to view whatever NGO. And some of us couldn't even go because you have to request leave from work. It's at night. They are saying tomorrow morning you have to be at whatever place. How do you do that? It's money.
Let's go back to the business thing. I just want to explore that a little more. I asked you, who did you think gained financially? And you said
NGOs.
Owners of NGOs.
Yes, yes, Justice.
Do you think there's anybody else who had a financial benefit out of Project Marathon?
I'm not too sure, Justice. Maybe even, yes, the officials or the people who were running the project, they were going to get something if they minimize costs, if maybe their budget maybe go down or whatever, or if they minimize costs towards this project, then the extra they make will go to them.
You see, as a family committee member, you would have lived with this through the transition.
Yes,
and
Justice.
that is why I'm trying to get benefit of your impressions. In other words, it's another way of saying, why did the provincial officials do it? Why did they take your family members and place them the way they did in circumstances that threatened their lives? What do you think? What do you say?
Hence I say, Justice, this looks like, I don't know how, but it looks like somebody was going to benefit somewhere, in a way, NGOs or government officials, I'm not too sure how, but yes, it looks like everything would now come to them, because I do not understand how do you just, out of nothing, if you're not going to gain anything, why would you even make such means, and which are absolutely so wrong, if you are not looking at something on the other side?
Do you know why the doctors in the project team did not resist this move?
Again, there, on that one, it's just positions. Somebody, look, Justice, I believe that government officials, they put themselves first. Actually, the project was the last thing. They put themselves first. It was about my position, my job, where I am now, what I'm getting. If I don't do this, I may be told tomorrow that take a hike, you know? So they would have rather sacrificed the lives of our patients, of our loved ones, than to lose maybe their jobs for doing something which is right.
Counsel?
Thank you, Justice. We were speaking about redress. You said that you wanted to know the truth, and you've given reasons why you wanted the truth. What
Yeah.
other redress do you want?
The
to
other
see?
thing, Justice, I wish every person who was part of this project to be arrested. People must be arrested because this is a criminal offense. Honestly, it's a criminal offense.
Any other redress that you were thinking about?
But you understand that this arbitration cannot cause people to be arrested. It can set out findings. It makes available the evidence given here by yourselves and some of the people who are responsible for this. But it is the National Director of Public Prosecutions, after investigation by the police, who decides who must be charged. I hope you understand that.
I do understand, Justice.
Yes.
I do understand. But I honestly would wish whoever is listening, wherever, who is in authority to can do this, I wish that they can go back and put everybody, like, charge everybody who was part of this project, being it NGOs who caused harm to our loved ones, to be arrested, because everybody did everything. They saw it happening. I could see that I cannot feed these people, but I went ahead and read and do it still.
Do you think this was a mistake by these decision makers, or they did it wide-eyed? In other words, with their eyes
They
wide
did it
open?
with their wide eyes open, conscious, like clear conscious. They did it with their clean conscience. This thing, it's Justice. If there was families who were concerned, who were saying, but don't you think if we get to that level, something can happen? Are we ready? Are you ready as government to can take such steps? And then
What did they say? What was their answer?
they were ready. No, they were ready. They were ready. I was shocked to hear that Hannah
Were they ready,
Jacobus.
or did they say they
They
were
say
ready?
they were ready. They say they were ready, and they said they are actually trying by all means. Like Dr. Manamela was saying on Monday, that they are assessing NGOs. That's what they told us as well, that every NGO is being put to an assessment. We checked ABCD. There was a list of things that they say they are checking with NGOs, which gave us at least hope that it's going to be well.
Do you think they were aware and knew that if the NGOs were not ready, patients might die?
They were. I believe they were. If we could see, we are not, some of us are not even medical doctors or medical, in the medical field, if I may put it that way, but we could see ahead that if we don't handle this well, if our loved ones are not taken to places which are well off for them, if they do not receive such care as they are receiving now, things might happen here.
What things did you think might happen?
Like we could see that our patient could relapse. That's the first thing, that they are going to relapse. They are going to stress. Some of the things that causes them to even change color, loses weight, is stress because they were not ready to be moved. And one of the things that Dr. Manamela promised us, Justice, is that they are going to do counseling on our patients, prepare them before they move. And that was never happened. They were waking up this morning to say, get into buses. They didn't know where they're going.
And you, as a lay person but member of the family representatives, could you sense that some of the patients might relapse, deteriorate, and die?
We did, Justice. We did. Hence, we were concerned that this must be set. You, as government, you must be certain that wherever you are taking our patients, we even asked, okay, can there be something that you can maybe negotiate with Life Esidimeni for our patients to remain there rather than closing them off?
Do you think that officials like Mr. Musinochi, Mr. Tabani, Dr. Manamela, Dr. Silibano, could reasonably foresee that if they moved patients from where they were to NGOs which were unready, those people could relapse, could suffer harm, or some could die?
They foresee that, I'm absolutely sure, Justice, that they could see, they knew what could happen. Mr. Musonochi sat here as well and said, Justice, I could see as well that this is not going to be functional at all. But again, him himself as well, because he was afraid of losing his status, his job.
So they
his
could
stability.
reasonably foresee that death might ensue.
Yes.
And nonetheless proceeded. Is that what you
Yes,
say?
Justice.
Very well, Counsel.
Thank you, Justice. Any other issue in redress that you want to raise?
Not really, Counsel. The other thing that we are concerned with as surviving, what you call family members, Justice, there was a move, we were told that the Life Esidimeni the contract has been terminated. And within no time, our patients were taken back to the very same institution. We do not know if there is any contract now signed with Life Esidimeni. Has that been done? We're not too sure. Well, from where we are sitting now as families, we feel like our patients can be chased out at any given time. We don't know. We don't know what is the status now, who's managing, what's happening, because some of members of Life Esidimeni, nurses which were there, they lost their jobs, they left the places. So it's new persons now whom are there now. I think some of them are caregivers or something like that. So we are not really too sure what's going to happen.
Yes.
Or where are we now as
And you remind me, in the early evidence, we're told that hundreds of people who worked at Life Esidimeni lost their jobs.
Yes, Justice.
In your discussions as family committee with the officials, was there an awareness that the termination of the contract might make so many professional and non-professional people working at Life Esidimeni to lose their jobs?
That Justice, we didn't really actually raise. Then our concern was just patience.
With patients?
Yes,
Yeah.
Justice.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else in redress that you want to put forward? What about counselling?
Counseling as well, because none of us family members has ever, okay, in my family, I don't know maybe about others, we have never even been called for counseling. Our patients as well, I don't remember Maggie saying they were counseled because she can talk, you know, and when you ask her of the happenings and what's happening was, are you eating? Like now I was asking her, are you happy here? Are you eating? She was like, yes, there's a lot of food we eat. We play netball and do what? So there hasn't been any counseling given to our patients, neither to the family members.
I just, as a result of the questions that the Honourable Justice has asked you, I'm going to hand you a document LR 79. Could you just identify this document for us, please?
Thank you.
Yes, Justice?
Do you know this document?
I know this document.
What is that about?
This was one of the marches that we had as family members to the Department of Health, raising our concerns of, you know, our loved ones and...
Is this a flyer for the march?
Yes, yes, Justice.
And could you read just the heading?
It's March for Dignity in Mental Illness.
And as committee, was that your aim?
It was.
And the photograph, was that of a previous march?
Yes, Justice.
Okay. The people at the bottom, Andrew, is that the witness that testified yesterday?
Yes, Justice.
And Nomvula and Nompilu are family members that are in attendance?
Yes, Justice.
And they are family representatives, are they?
Yes, Justice.
Well, one of them reads there. Would you read that for me onto the record? I see the one facing more towards the very first one, over the shoulder of the gentleman in a light blue shirt. What is on that placard?
It says Kodwa yini Gedani. I think it's Kodwa yini. I'm not too sure with that small writing there. I can't see it very well. But the other word, the first word, it says Kodwa yini Gedani.
Which means?
What's wrong with you? I'm not Zulu, I'm Sotho Justice, but I think it says, what is wrong with you? Like, what is this about? But why?
I see. And there's another placard there of the gentleman more on extreme right. What's on that placard? Dani, please think human, is it?
I can't see that one, Justice. On extreme right.
No, on the front end of the picture, just below the steps, can you see the lady in reflective clothing? Can you see to the right of the lady with reflective clothing?
Yeah, I think isn't the one that says the minister, no, I see the one that says the minister must fall, and the one that...
I can see the one that says the minister must fall.
Yes.
And the other one that says, Dani, please think human.
Yes, I can see that.
Can you
the
see
one
that?
Andrew is holding, yes, I can see that.
Is that what it reads? Dani, please think human. I'm asking you because you were there.
Yes, because all they were doing, they were treating our patients as in, they are inhuman, you know, and she wasn't, whatever they were doing, she wasn't acting like a human being, you know, treating other human being. Because you must be human enough. I mean, you're dealing here with mentally ill patients, you know, people who cannot say much for themselves. They can't, you take them from this point to the other, they will just go, even if they don't like, they will just get oppressed. And so when you're dealing with them, you must think yourself and think for themselves too.
Thank you, Justice. Anything else that you want to say, ma'am?
I think I've said just this, all that I wanted to say. Like I said, I wish whoever is sitting wherever in authority can really make first thing starting with the NGOs, you know, charge them, those greedy people who felt that they can really make money from our loved ones, you know, they cost lives, so they must be charged. I think if that is not going to happen, I don't know. Well, my sister is still alive, but personally, I wouldn't have rest. I wouldn't have rest. I would take it upon my shoulders that I go to court or whatever that is to make whoever did this be arrested on a personal level.
Thank you, Justice.
Thank you. Advocate Hassen.
And, oh, I'm sorry. And the other thing, Justice, is this is not really about, we are thinking about future, the future of any mental ill patients, you know, going forward. Can we have an organized structure? Can we have proper structure for them? Can we think for them, even where they are, facilities? Can we have better and best facilities for them? Can we have professional people who will really take care of them?
You said nothing about money.
Yes, I didn't, Justice.
I know you're not here for money,
Yes, Justice.
but it's part of my job to give you money.
If you give me money, Justice, I would love to. I would love that. If you give me money, I will accept it and make useful of it.
And how would it help your sister?
Look, if that will help in a way that at least my mother would be able to go visit my sister often, you know, or whenever she feels like going, because we really can go and visit my sister any given day.
Does she come home on,
She does come home.
on leave?
Yes, she does. She does. Like now on the 9th, like now, next month we are going to fetch her to come spend holidays with us at home.
You know, she's only 34,
6.
36.
Yes, Justice.
You add another 30 years. Yeah. Of institutionalization. It's a long time, isn't it?
Yes, Justice.
So you say money will help you to look after her.
It will help, Justice, because even now where they are, sometimes you go there, maybe somebody took the clothes or whatever that is, you have to buy. Hence I say every time when we go, we have to check what's missing or whatever, or get her something like that, because the grant doesn't really come to us, not at all. It gets stuck with.
Is she on a grant?
She is on a grant.
But you don't see the money?
No, we never, not at all.
Is it collected by Waverley?
It's collected is by the institution, wherever she is, the grant goes there.
Justice, sorry, Martha just touched on the issues that was just raised, if the court. We discussed the possibility of that there might be some money coming. Could you just tell the court how would you see money coming in? To who would it go? And who will utilize it for what?
That will go to my mother. My dad is no more. He passed on in 2008. So my mother, she's a pensioner now. So the money will go to my mother, and she really takes care of my sister. Should my mother be not there, my older sister and myself, we are the ones taking care of my sister now. So we'll see that my sister is well taken care of.
So the idea of money is to better the life of your sister.
Yes.
Thank you, Justice.
Thank you. Advocate Hassan.
Thank you, Justice Masaneke. Good morning, Ms. Mofokeng.
Morning, Justice.
I just want to begin with something you mentioned earlier in your testimony about the rape of your sister
Yes.
at Takalani,
Yes.
and that it was outside the time frame of reference for this arbitration. And I don't know how much of the testimony and the proceedings you've been watching, but to corroborate what you say, one of the deceased, and the family that's being represented in these proceedings, had a similar experience at Takalani.
Yes.
Justice, if I may refer to the record,
Yes.
and it's file 10 at page 3306.
Thank you.
It's file?
File 10, page 3306.
I'm on it.
It's an affidavit by Mojanilo Selina Klaas,
Yes.
and it's in relation to the death of her cousin, Benika Mokaneng, who was at Takalani. If I can ask you to turn to page 3309.
I'm there.
And here, the cousin is talking about the visit to Benika at Takalani.
Yes.
And at paragraph 15, she says the following: a man walked past us, and she started pointing at him to draw my attention to him. So Benika didn't speak, okay? She's pointing at him to draw my attention to him. She then gestured, pulling up her skirt and mimicking being strangled. I understood from her that she had been raped.
I was actually here. I heard this testimony.
And it would seem that it was somebody who worked at Takalani. It was raised with the nurse, but the nurse didn't take it any further, according to this affidavit.
Yes.
Do you know anything further? Has there been any follow-up at Takalani in relation to these two incidents?
Not at all. Not at all. Hence, I was saying to Justice, like what we were in fact told was the behavior of this guy, how they trust him, how well behaved he is since he's been in Takalani. That's all. Whereas no concerns whatsoever they mentioned about my sister, or maybe like, no, it was just a one-side story, and that was the end of it. There was never follow-up, not at all, nothing whatsoever.
Is the man still there at Takalani?
I wouldn't know, because my sister since moved from Takalani a long time ago. I'm sure maybe he's still there also.
Do you know whether Takalani still accommodates male and female mental health care users?
They do, because one of our family members, her sister was there just around the move, so there were men there.
I mean, all of
And
this.
you remember Mrs. Masondo,
Yes.
right
yes,
out
Justice.
there saying Takalani was their best NGOs.
I was listening, I was here, Justice.
And that the been there, looked at it, and she was asked why do men and women share wards?
Yes, Justice. And at some point, she pretended as if she wasn't aware of so much. She was still in probation or something like that. And that was a surprise.
And you've not been updated as a representative of the family. So while your sister may no longer be there, has there been any update as to the conditions at the NGOs, including Takalani, in order to prevent these kind of incidents from happening again?
Look, myself, I don't have any update whatsoever, or just to follow up to see, you know, what is happening now, what is the situation now at Takalani. But I believe there are some family members who will come and relate, who have their patients actually, who has been there like lately, just before they were moved out of Takalani, who would give you an experience in Takalani. It's quite shocking.
Is there a representative from the government who's been tasked with communicating with representatives of the family and for updating the families of the survivors?
No, not that I know. Not that I know of. Not. Since after the Ombuds report, I haven't been so much active, Justice. So, but yes, we do have actually a group as family members. So we put up updates on the group as whatever the happenings there. So, but I haven't. I don't know of anybody who's now.
So let me ask you this. If you were concerned about something now, who would you go to? Is there one person that you know you can call?
There is Dr. I can't remember her name now, who is, I think she's now the directorate at the Department of Health. We have been given her contact numbers. So if there's anything, Dr. Sai, okay, I can't remember so well. But yes, we have been given her contact numbers in case maybe there's something that we want to know of, or if we want to report something, or if we want clarity of something, we can contact her.
But is there any information coming from their side to you without you asking for it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Why did you feel it necessary to march and to protest outside the government's offices?
You know what, we thought when we're out there, when the public can as well see that this is happening, because the public was so misinformed. The public knew like nothing. I only saw now that actually mentally ill patients in South Africa, they are like non-existent to so many people, to the community, to the public, like even at home, like some people will be, even people who grew up with you, who know the situation, they will behave like, oh, what the hell, excuse my language, like they are not engaging, they are not even helping. They can actually even make situations worse for you, rather.
So you're saying that mental health care users were stigmatized and discriminated against?
Yes.
But of course the government has a responsibility to the mental health care users in their care.
Yes.
So you're saying that you felt that those mental health patients were dispensable in the eyes of government too?
Absolutely. And one of the things, like I said to Justice earlier on, that they even mentioned going back to our communities, because they said some of the patients will be maybe released to home, those who can see that they can be fit to go back home. They were like, we are going to provide a team who will go back to communities around where, let's say, your family of your patient is, like our home, maybe let's say home. They will come back to my community at home and just, talk to them, counsel them and, get them to understand the situation of mental ill patients and the patient that will be around them. But even that never happened. It was a black and white paper exercise.
You said you handed a memo at one of your marches. You handed a memo to Mr.
To Dr.
Mosano.
Msonaki, yes.
And what was his response?
No, look, he came out there because we've been there since morning. It was cold, it was cold and hot, it became hot. We waited there, we couldn't, because we wanted to meet with the MEC of Health. She was never there, we were told she's wherever. The only thing when we got there, everything there was closed off, they wouldn't allow us in. And then lately, when now we denied going back home before we see her, that's when Mr. Mosonaki was now sent out. He came to address us. It was long after so many hours we have been waiting for the MEC.
What did he say in his address to you? Did he address the concerns in the memorandum?
Not really. He did say that he's accepting the memorandum on behalf of the MEC. Unfortunately, the MEC couldn't be there. And with everything that we do, we will sort of put in an application and inquire with the office and request before we do anything. But then she was just so invisible. And that's when, because we threatened that we're going to go now to the Premier's office. And then Mr. Mosonaki was there. He accepted, but he couldn't say much, except for, yes, there are concerns he can see, but he would take the memorandum to the MEC.
And did the MEC then respond to your memorandum? And the memorandum is not handed up just for no reason.
Yes.
The memorandum is there in order to have your concerns addressed.
Maybe one of the family members will remind me, never. We never got any response from the MEC.
You know what worries me? Sorry, Council, to interrupt. When I look at the schedule of the Ombud, I think you must be given, please, LR 57 and page 8 of LR 57.
Page 8. Paginated.
Can you see that?
Yes,
Look
Justice.
at the month of June 2016.
I can see that, Justice.
I'm looking at your placard, LR 79, 82 is dated the 9th of June 2016.
2016, yes, I can see that, Justice.
In June 2016, 14 mental health care users died.
Yes.
So when you were protesting and having a march and pleading with Mr. Mosenochi and his senior, the MEC, and Dr. Manamela, 14 mental health care users that they had ordered to be moved were dying.
That's the thing. In my testimony earlier, I even said that already patients were dying. That was early days. Patients were dying already. But still, despite of what we did, we got no answers. Actually, that time, there was so much, they were so invisible. I think no one of them wanted to talk to us.
And do you know why they would wait while you protesting as you did, and you had a committee of families talking to them? They would wait for people to die in July. 32 people died in July.
Yes, Justice.
25 people died in August. 9 in September, 12 in October, and 11 mental health care users died in November. 5 more in December, and this runs into January 2017.
Yes, Justice.
You know why they didn't respond? It was one thing like ignore you at the beginning,
Yeah.
but once people died and you march, was there no comeback?
That's what we were wondering as well, because we thought then something will be done. We thought, because early days, as in May, believe Christine's sister died. Actually, was it in June? Just if Christine Malo's sister died
In August.
yeah, they found out later, but I think it was earlier. Like earlier already, there were patients who were dying. There were patients who were relapsing already. But we couldn't, we were trying to penetrate them when we had a march, and we were trying to shout out loud. And honestly, because when we sit and organize this, we were like, maybe when we go out there and we involve the media and everybody else is aware, then government will stood up. What can really fix the government is when the media maybe is involved, hence the march. But still, unfortunately, they were very hardened wherever they were.
Council, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Not at all, Justice.
I couldn't resist this. It's just
Yes.
such a shocking feature of this marathon project that there were warnings and amber lights and bright lights all over suggesting don't do it, stop.
And that's lay people, the family members,
Yes.
could see what was going on. And the people who were responsible for the health of the mental health care user and the people who were professionals and should have known better couldn't see it. And you've just said that your strategy was to make it
Draw
a public
attention.
issue.
Yes,
And so, and for the media to report on it.
yes.
And did they report also that people were dying?
The media did, because, you know, I think somewhere that's maybe something that helped. Media helped us that this whole thing, it's not being put under carpet, because it looks like government would do such, and there have been other cases which actually the public, the community never knew of. They just put things under carpet, you know.
So, yes.
So we were hoping that the media would, you know, shout, if it's everywhere on radios and on television and everywhere, now even communities would like, okay, what is happening, you know, and the government would now give us attention and say, okay, let's talk or let's do something.
So, and it was covered in the media.
It was
and it
covered
was
in
on TV in these programs, Checkpoint.
Everywhere,
or-
newspapers I can give you, like it was everywhere.
And this was in June 2016, around that time it was
Around that time, even because when we had our marches already, we had about 3 marches. In May, was it in April, if I'm not mistaken, already, and media people were involved. 702 used to do interviews and you know, of family members. We were giving them information that this is happening, and nothing
So-
still happened.
So there couldn't have been anybody who didn't know.
There couldn't have been anybody who didn't know. I had some of the officials sitting here. Someone was like, I saw on the headlines, I didn't know. I saw on what, I didn't know. But it was all over there. It was all over there. Even the community, because even people around us, some would phone and say, Mwelo, we saw such and such. What is this about? Oh, we didn't know, you know. So it was painted everywhere.
Thank you. Finally, I just, in relation to your plea for criminal charges to be brought against the officials that are responsible, and again, I'm not sure whether you were here during that testimony of Major General Johnson.
Yes, I was
And
here.
the SAPS is investigating.
Yes.
However, there were criminal charges that were laid at the police station by the EFF and by the DA very early on. I can't remember the date now. But Major General Johnson told us that the files were closed. The criminal charges were for murder and it was brought against the former MEC Mahlangu. But the files were closed, according to Major General Johnson's testimony.
I hear that. Hence, I say that's the other thing. I don't know how our government operates, honestly. Because nothing has been done. How do we trust them going forward? You know, how do we deal with them going forward? It's tiring. It's draining. It's all ugly. I don't know. But hence I said again, repeating myself, I am hoping that this time maybe they will do something right.
Ms. Mofokeng, there's some that would say that the reason that you were so public in your protests and the reason you went to the media is because it had to do with politics, because you were playing a political game. What would you say to that?
I would rubbish that, excuse my language, because we were not, even as family representatives, we were not formed against, no party was with us. In an actual fact, we have been saying, because I remember one person in our group posted to say, you know, I know one of the, I think it was the DA councillor or whatever, we can maybe involve them and whatsoever. And then we said, no, we don't want to attach ourselves with any political party or whatsoever that concerns with politics. This is just us, and this is how we feel as families, and this is just what we want to see happening for our patients, for our family, for our, loved ones. So it was absolutely nothing to do with politics. Absolutely nothing, not even close. Not even something that we were thinking about.
Thank you, Ms. Mofokeng. I don't have any further questions for you. Thank you for testifying, and I wish your sister good health.
Thank you, Council.
Just, I'm sure you'll be, the neglect of putting men and women in the same ward at NGOs still continues to worry me. We had similar evidence, I'm sure it might be put to you, in relation to Siabadinga,
Yes, Justice.
where the family representatives wrote a letter through one of them
Yes, Justice.
complaining that sexually active men were being put in the same ward as women. And that letter was handed in here as an exhibit by Mr. Groenewald. But the more specific question to you is this. You have a sister who can speak and who's made the allegation, and
Yes, Justice.
somebody can interpret that. In our language, we have an idiom that says, a crime never goes bad. It never rots. So, shouldn't there be a formal charge made by you helping your sister and others about the Takalani rape?
I think that will help, because that will say no to the next patient. We must put a stop to this, otherwise it will continue.
It's not good enough for the sisters to say this is a good patient. I'm just saying to you, this is not directly relevant to what we are doing, but connected, because NGOs, at least 3 we know now, Precious Angels, Siabadinga, Takalani, just threw men and women into the same space. And we have at least 2 of direct allegations of rape. So I'm just saying, shouldn't you and your sister support Maspiriti to relive that, make the accusation, and a charge.
We'll consider that, Justice.
Yes, and that the person will not be found guilty in the end, whatever, is neither here nor there.
Yes,
It's
yes,
an
Justice.
important assertion of herself, her dignity, and the right to her body being
Of-
respected
yes.
and protected.
Yes, Justice.
Very well. I've said my swan song, but it has happened in the relevant period. And it leaves me wondering just how many female patients might have fallen victim.
So many, Justice. And again, you know, with our government, because some of the cases, there was another case at home, we reported that, and the next thing we saw, the guy walking the streets. And when we inquire with the police, they were like, there weren't enough evidence.
But within this project, and you being a member of the family committee, do you know of other allegations of rape during the move, during the placement?
Not really, Justice. Not really.
Very good. Counsel, Grunewald?
Thank you very much, Justice. Ms. Mofokeng, first off, I would like to thank you for coming and testifying. I know that to testify in such public proceedings can be severely stressful, but I want to thank you for coming and testifying. Being a part of the family members that consulted with government, I would just like to take you to file 1, pages 180. If someone can assist you.
While you're being assisted, somebody should give this medical certificate a exhibit number, please. Okay. You may proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Justice. File 1, you have it, ma'am. File 1, page 180. 180.
One eight zero.
180. It's the one in the black marker.
Okay, I can
Yeah.
see this. Okay, I'm there.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, now, this is minutes of a meeting between the Department of Health and SADC. Now, you can note that it's on the 30th of November 2015. The attendees, your name is not there. You weren't a part of this meeting.
On the 30th of November, I couldn't attend this meeting.
Okay.
I couldn't attend this meeting.
Okay, but you were informed of this meeting and you knew about the meeting.
Yes.
All right. Now I'm going to take you to the next page, page 181. And I want to take you to the first sentence on that page. The HOD, which we know is Mr. Celebano, the HOD discussed the need to desegregate patients from the life facilities and to assess the social impact on patients and employees of Life Esidimeni as instructed by the Premier. Now my question is the following. Before I make the question, it seems like the evidence of the government is that what happened with this marathon project was isolated to, well, the 3 main rogue employees, the MEC, the HOD, and the project team and leaders, and that the top structures didn't know anything of what happened.
That's what we received.
Now, from my reading here, it seems like the Premier had knowledge of the marathon project and knew of, as the instruction to desegregate patients from Life Esidimeni. And I would just like to know from you, being part of the consultations with government and so on, do you have any knowledge, first-hand knowledge, as to whether or not the Premier, the Minister, or any high officials had knowledge of the marathon project, and to what extent?
First time, actually, when we knew from the Premier's mouth, direct, is the day when the report of the ombuds was put out to the public. Right after the report, the Premier requested a meeting with family members. We all sat around the table. He said himself he was not aware of all this, how sorry he was. He was so sympathetic. The minister, like, they knew nothing. That's what we received from them. They were not aware of such. And we were, like, you would wonder, because I think in every workplace, I'm not too sure where other people work, but there will be reports and updates and minutes and everything that's been done. Like, you know, you send out reports like that. You report things as they happen. It doesn't matter what level you are sitting in a company. You can be a CEO, but you will know. You would have people who would feed in information to say such and such is happening. This was a project, and a huge project of mentally ill patients. You know, we were surprised that it was out of his knowledge, as he was telling us. And then Mrs. Masondo was sitting here, and she says, the Premier knew. And everybody is just contradicting themselves. Like, everybody from government, they are passing the baton like that. So we are actually, I myself am very, I'm disturbed. I'm very angry with that. That how could he sit and food? But now we're thinking, okay, this is how they operate. It's like it's run in their blood. It runs. That's how they operate, all of them.
Thank you, ma'am. I fully understand and I agree with your testimony that if you had regard to the media reports and so on, you know, it's impossible that they could not know about it. But my question is a bit more specific. I want to know that you as a family, that were part of the family members, the group that consulted with government, did you have any first-hand knowledge? Did somebody tell you, well, it's the instruction of the Premier, or the Premier has been informed, or do you have any first-hand knowledge as to whether or not any higher official had knowledge of the marathon project?
Not really. Not really. Even the meetings that we've been sitting at, we only knew of the people who were running the project that time, and what they were giving us was that government, we don't have sufficient funds. The Life Esidimeni this is training us. The funds are running dry, so we have to make some means and way to minimize that. But they didn't mention any of saying maybe, oh, the minister said, or the Premier said.
And then, ma'am, just a second question. If you go further down, it's the third last paragraph. It stated there, while the ideal is for patients with psychiatric conditions to be deinstitutionalized, there is a pressing need for communities, families, NGOs, and daycare facilities to be upskilled. Deinstitutionalization cannot take place without this. In order to allay fears and panic, it's crucial to involve families and give them information. Dr. Manamela said that the families don't have to run around looking for alternative places. That is the job of the department. My question is twofold. Firstly, do you know of any upskill projects that Dr. Manamela and her team conducted with NGOs?
Not of any.
Any. And it's clear that Dr. Manamela tried to give the family reassurance that everything would be okay and will be fine.
She didn't try. She actually assured us.
She gave you an assurance.
Yes.
And that was not the truth.
Opposite.
The opposite. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for everything.
Well,
that
before
you've
you
done.
go away there, Council, thank you for the reference. But look at middle of the page, just after the 5 bullet points. The HOD admitted that state wards are full and that is a concern. Dr. Manamela mentioned that caregivers need to be upskilled and NGO facilities need to be licensed before they can take on any users. Can you see that?
I can see that, Justice.
Did that happen?
Never. None of this happened. I think I mentioned earlier on my testimony that this is what we have been promised, that they were sure that the NGOs are licensed, there's people who will be there, being it nurses, whoever will be taking care of the patients will be people who are well skilled and who can very well take care of our patients. They will be in facilities which are of good, how shall I put it, care, you know, for them, suitable for them. They wouldn't make a mistake of putting them somewhere where they wouldn't cope.
Well, look at the minutes. The minute says exactly that, at the top
Yes.
of 181. Can you see that? The HOD discussed the need to desegregate patients from the life facility and to assess the social impact on patients and employees of Life Esidimeni. So they were aware that they had to assess the impact not only on patients,
Yes.
but also on employees of Life Esidimeni. You remember we talked about it?
Yes, Justice.
So they were aware that they had to do that.
Yes.
Then later, the HOD stated that when the life contract was terminated, they did not want to endanger patients.
Correct, Justice.
However, they looked only at costs and not at patient profiles. Do you know what that means? They don't want to endanger patients, but they only look at costs.
That's what they have been, even when we had meetings with Dr. Manamela and his team, when the project now has kicked in, that's what Dr. Manamela told us, that no, look, yes, because we felt like, is this really necessary for you to be done? And they were like, yes, costs here has to be like saved and well managed. So unfortunately, the exercise, like it or not, has to happen. But the assurance is we would consider every angle necessarily that all is done correct and the right way. But hence I said even earlier on my testimony that everything was in black and white, positively so. But the actions were an absolute different thing altogether.
Any more questions, Council?
Justice, perhaps just one more question. Ma'am, if I could take you to page 169 of the same bundle. Once again, we're actually just reiterating the point, but I think it needs to be reiterated. But this is a letter again from SADC, dated the 26th of November 2015. You will note the termination of contract with Life. Paragraph 2, it says, this letter serves to record the meeting and to request a response to various questions. Were you part of this meeting? The meeting was on the 23rd of November 2015. Do you know of that meeting?
No. No, I wasn't part of this meeting.
You wasn't part of that meeting?
No, I wasn't.
But I just want to highlight one further point there. Page 170, paragraph 10.
Page 170.
170, paragraph 10.
Yes.
Dr. Manamela stated that families would be supported and that the department would work with the families through the process. The project team would be asked for timelines and a proper project plan would be compiled together with a communication strategy. Do you know whether or not that happened?
This didn't materialize, unfortunately. It was planned, that's how it was planned, yes, and it was a good plan, and that's how we wanted things to happen as well as family members, but unfortunately, not.
Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Manamela gave us a project plan, a placement and discharge plan. It's one page. Look at LR 71.
Yes, Justice.
It is dated the 26th of April 2016. Can you see that on LR21?
I can see that, Justice.
Signed by MJ Manamela, Director, Mental Health Services. The title of this is Life Esidimeni, LE, Contract Termination, Placement and Discharge Plans, in the plural, plans. Can you see that
Yes,
on one
Justice,
page?
I can, yes.
What do you make of this? Did you ever see it before now?
If I am not mistaken, I think this was one of I think this was projected, if I'm not, yeah, this was projected in one of our meetings that we had with the team and Dr. Manamela as we were having meetings before the move.
You mean it was put up on a projector, on a screen?
Yes, Justice.
But what does it tell us? You can see the year 2016. I can see the names of the institutions at the top. What do you make of it?
They were giving, here, I think they were trying to give us numbers on how are they going to make their moves, patients.
But my problem is that there are no hows there. They're just numbers
Yes, that's the problem.
and dates. Can you shed any more light on this? You may not.
Hence I said, the last meeting that we have, Mr. Franz Tobani said to us, they would send us now the final names of NGOs which have been now assessed and licensed, approved by the department. And that will have now a number of patients that will be moved to particular NGOs.
Well, I see 604 as an example. Patients from Waverley and adults at Baneng, 604 of them.
Yes, Justice. But then unfortunately, like you say, it doesn't have any places. So now we never received that list. So we don't know.
It's not clear when will they be taken, who they will be, what would be their illnesses or conditions, where will they be taken to, by whom, and what kind of records and medication would be required to follow them. But this is supposed to be the placement and discharge plan.
Yes, that was the list that was supposed to be sent to us by Mr. Franz Tobani. But then that never materialized. It was promised that because they haven't done a final list, they can rather email that to us as family members, but we have never received that.
Well, she said she had a plan, and this is what she produced. That's why I was asking whether you had seen it and what your views are on it. Thank you. We're going to take the tea. Any more questions? You done, Council?
I'm done.
Yeah,
Thank
when we
you very
come
much,
back after tea, we'll then call on Advocate Guchana and Advocate Jutamo and re-examination. We are adjourned to 12 o'clock.